Hey folks, welcome to Market Intraday Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leaders in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. This video for Tuesday, February 7th, 2012 is sponsored by Realtik. Alright, what we're going to do today, folks, is go over the charts, obviously, on an intraday basis, look at the overall charts on the daily to focus in on where this market could be heading as we continue to see this light volume float up. And then I want to answer a couple questions that we got here on some other key stocks, and again, analyze them on a daily chart to look where the shorting opportunity is, where, if it pulls back, would the long opportunity be. So let's get right into it. As you're looking here at this chart, this is the SPY, which mirrors the S&P 500 on a 10-minute basis, so each candle is 10 minutes. And again, it was a really fascinating morning session. Why? Well, because you have this gap window. This is what it's called. This is called a gap window when you gap up, and that low creates the window. And every time you come down to that, you're going to have some support levels. And as you can see, yesterday we tagged that same level right here, and today we tagged it again. Now, today at this time frame, when we tagged it right here around 10 o'clock, 10:30, it was amazing because you saw some true manipulation in the market. And again, I know a lot of people are, well, what is the manipulation? How does that come into play? What's going on here? Well, obviously it's enabled because the volume is so light. As long as the volume remains light, manipulation is something easily done. In fact, anyone with a decent amount of money in a trading account, a couple $1,000,000, when volume is this light on the SPY, they can create little spikes or little drops in the market. If you look towards a hedge fund or a mutual fund or an institution, they can do it even more. And obviously, when you go up the chain of command to the Federal Reserve, they're the top dogs. They're the plunge protection team. They're the ones that are going to have the most control over fluctuating markets. All right, and again, in light volume, that's when it's enabled. So the volume, obviously, lately, since January, has been conducive to that. But today it was amazing because as the markets were down ticking, what ended up happening here around 10 o'clock, 10:30, the markets went down below the gap window line. And again, with about 1 minute remaining in this 10-minute candle, you saw the markets trading down near these lows. And all of a sudden, just as it was about to close, they shot the market up. They hit a buy program button and lifted the market to close just on and above this trend line. And essentially what that does is it saves the day. It creates this bullish tail on the charts. You create the light volume float, and all of a sudden, shorts will end up covering there, and they see a hold in the market. Now, not only did that happen, I mean, you might think that's enough of manipulation. It doesn't even begin to describe what we saw here today. At that same exact instant, the dollar started to collapse. And as we know, the dollar has an inverse relationship. Let me pop up the UUP chart here. This was an amazing fall on the dollar in an intraday basis. Right here, this is exactly the same candle. So right at this candle here, the dollar started to collapse, and that's exactly when the markets reversed. So at that exact time, all of a sudden the dollar miraculously collapses, saving the market or helping to save the market there. And then what we saw in addition, Bernanke at that exact second comes on TV and starts testifying and talking. All right, so again, it was basically coinciding with him coming to testify. The dollar collapses, the markets get saved as if a magical hand, namely the PPT, had come out and saved the market. And again, once the market gets saved, as I said, all the shorts that had started to pile in there at the break of this line had to cover. That pushed the market up more. Once the light volume started to take over midday, the markets have just floated up. We actually took out this pivot high here at 134.65, which was the previous resistance level. You can see since then we've just consolidated on top of that. You're not really going much higher here. In fact, the spiders are only up 37 cents, but it's the reversal again and how they saved the market at this line. Now, if you had broken and closed, if the market had closed down here on the spiders, you would have seen the yellow line tagged and then probably the 200. I mean, you would have had a nice little breakdown, okay? And again, they saved it. They knew what they were doing. Whoever saves it, they obviously know what they're doing. I mean, you're not dumb. If I can tell this is a major line to possibly break, they're saying the same things as me. So in any case, market again pushing up beautifully. You had this nice surge on a little bit of a short squeeze as the dollar continued to collapse. And then since then, they're just holding this market right above this trend line, which again is support now. So it's yielding a possibility that we could head higher later. Now again, should we break down, the only line I'm going to care about this afternoon, folks, is this line right here. You take this line out, obviously you're going to have to deal with the 200 now, but that is the level to break. You want to see these low pivots from the last 3 days taken out. That would be significant in terms of a possible breakdown. All right, if you continue up, you do have an upside resistance level. Let me show it to you on the daily chart. We'll go to the SPY daily. If I zoom out a little bit, you can see this is your next resistance on the upside, and the price on this resistance is as follows. It is 135.60, 70-ish. So right around the 135.60 to 70 level, which is actually only 80 cents away. somewhere in that vicinity. It's not that far away at this point. So you're actually very close, as you can see, and that's your next resistance level. As long as the volume remains light like it is, very likely you will see that hit at some point in the not-too-distant future. All right? And again, we'd have to see an increase in volume for that not to hit. All right, having said that, again, the dollar having a nice little drop today, and that, again, is the culprit for a nice little pop in the markets. Whether it was, derived from the Federal Reserve, that's up in the air for debate. It looked very, very fishy, though, how it all coincided with Ben Bernanke taking to the TV screen at the podium today to testify at the exact second, folks. And that's the amazing thing. It wasn't, 10 minutes before. It wasn't 10 minutes after. At the exact second he comes on TV, the market miraculously gets saved. The dollar starts to collapse, and again, we shoot right up in the markets. The markets just take off to the upside and have about 50 minutes into an hour of buy programs in them that lift them up to the recent highs that we're at. And now since that's over, now it's just the markets have gone sideways. No action at all, very quiet, volume has died out. We've done about 92 million, which interestingly enough is more volume than yesterday. In the whole entire day yesterday, we did 95 million. Today we're already at 92 with about an hour and 45 minutes remaining or so in the trading day. All right, let's go to some key questions here. The question first comes from one of the traders here in the trading room, and that is on the GLD. The question is essentially, the GLD is having a big pop today. Do we see the GLD, which is the gold ETF, moving to the next resistance and getting through the previous recent top? Based on what the dollar is doing today, if the dollar does break through the recent lows, then yes, that is a possibility, folks. All right, we obviously had a great little level of resistance right in this general range right here, and that's what the market pulled off of. You can see this line right here. These two lines I'm putting in, that was your previous resistance. If you can close above this area, your next move in the gold trade on the GLD is going to be up to here, and that's going to be your next shorting opportunity. So again, for me personally, if we get up above here, I'm going to look to wait patiently until we get to this next shorting level, and at that level, I will pull the trigger on a swing trade short. All right, now that's a price of 175 to 175 and a quarter. Right around that area on the GLD is where the next major pullback should come in on the GLD. All right, so again, good question there coming from the trading room here. The next question is on the solar stocks. First Solar, these stocks have had really a nice run off the lows. FSLR, you can see it's had a nice run. Is there more upside? And is there more upside? Is it worthy to go long? And the answer is very simple here. Based on where the charts are, how extended they are, you wouldn't go long, but there is a little bit more upside based on this trend line right here. See the green trend line and the pivot top right here? Let me just draw another trend line in so you guys can all kind of see it. But at this point, this is what you're looking for if you're going to think about shorting FSLR. All right, I wouldn't short it yet, but at the same time, there's not much more upside, so you wouldn't go long. What you want to do is remain neutral until it gets in this range of around 52 to 52.5. At 52 to 52.5, that's where you want to pull the trigger on a short trade, which should take you back down to the moving averages. All right, but again, there's no trade on this right now, absolutely no trade at all. All right, next question comes on Apple Computer. Apple Computer continues to soar. Where is it going? Where will you look to short it? Well, again, Apple has definitely soared. It's up another almost $5 today. The previous high, which was taken out yesterday, was the after-hours high on earnings of Apple, where it hit 461 to 462. And so far now, it's trading at a high today, 52-week high or all-time high of 469.66. We're about $1 off that high right now. The answer to me is I will not be looking to short Apple unless it takes out 500. That even number will be a psychological level. 500 will definitely be a psychological level. If Apple continues to move up in there, which is another $30 or so higher, you will have significant psychological resistance as well as an extended move that at that point I would finally say to myself, this is now extended enough where the risk reward favors me on the short side. Add in the 500 psychological level, which again I'd probably look for a short around 501, 502 on the Pierce, and that will be a great opportunity. Other than that, as I said in the previous couple videos, Apple is far too extended, far too strong in the group to look at a short. All right, now think of the analogy, you're a lion and you're stalking your prey, and there's a herd of buffalo. Let's call it buffalo. It could be zebras or whatever. But bottom line is, when you look at those National Geographic videos and you see that lion or the lion stalking their prey, are they going after the biggest, strongest bull of the herd, or are they going after the weakest? And the weakest is what they go after. So again, you really have to make sure Apple's extended enough away from, major supports, which again, it's getting there, but I'd even let it go a little further. Once it gets to that point, that's where you give it a shot, in my opinion, all right? So again, keep an eye on that, and I'll update you guys if we get closer to that resistance level. All right, last question here that I want to cover. It will be on the metals. Let's take a look at Freeport-McMoRan. The question is Freeport-McMoRan a shorting opportunity or a long, or how would you play this? And this is a tricky chart to analyze, and I'm going to explain why. When you're looking at this chart, obviously it's extended. And Freeport-McMoRan is actually down 90 cents today. But the question you have to ask yourself is, well, do I have bullish signals here or bearish signals here? Do the bearish signals tell me to short, or do the bullish signals tell me to go long? And the answer is you have both. And this is where it comes into really being a disciplined trader and knowing where to step back and not take a trade. All right, and one thing I want to just point out, you have the bearish signal right here, right? Bearish signal is a topping tail, which is a bearish signal. And then at the same time, another bearish signal would be the extended move. I mean, this thing is from the beginning of the year, has gone from 36 to 46, essentially. So about a $10 move, which is about a 30, we'll call it a 35%, 30% move up in this stock. So that's an extended move with the topping tail. So right there, you might think, well, maybe it's a shorting opportunity. But the question then becomes, well, what are the bullish signals? And the bullish signals clearly are bullish consolidation, and you have a golden cross. Golden cross is where the 20 moving average crosses the 200 moving average to the upside. And those are two bullish signals. So you have two bearish signals and two bullish signals. And let me ask you, if you have a +2 and a -2, what is the answer to that mathematical question? It's a 0. So essentially that would equal a neutral to me in terms of it's not a play here. You don't have enough bullish or bearish signals to overpower the other one. Therefore, the best case scenario is to stay away, wait for a better chart setup on this. And one last thing I'll cover, folks, is Caterpillar and Microsoft. Since I covered these the last couple videos, I still think Caterpillar is a fantastic shorting opportunity at this double top right here if you get there. That's at a price of around 116.5 to 116.75, I would say. And if you take that, or if you hit that level, that's where I personally will be looking to pull the trigger. And then Microsoft's another great one that I happen to like quite a bit. If you zoom out and you go back, there's a double, triple top level up here, and Microsoft is extremely extended. If you get to this level, that's your trigger, all right? That's at 31.50. So you have about another dollar move up on Microsoft. If it goes there, then that's your level to short. All right, guys, just going back to the SPY here, since we're talking about the intraday action on the markets, and you can see, again, very little action, very dead market. But again, it's all about looking for the setups. Look for the setups. Be ready to rock and roll when the setup hits your target for a trigger trade. And again, short, long, whatever it may be, just make sure you look at the charts and read them properly. All right, guys. I got to get back to trading and making money with my chat room members. Remember, there's a 7-day free trial here at InTheMoneyStocks.com. You can take the 7-day free trial to the Research Center or to the Intraday Stock Chat, or take both and try us both out. All right? Both of them will make you money, in my opinion. They are awesome. And again, we will teach you things you never thought possible. Have a wonderful evening. And again, we look forward to seeing you as part of InTheMoneyStocks.com.